record on this computer, please. Yay! I love when it just records so smoothly. I'm so excited to talk about this. I just was thinking about how there's so many seasons in coaching. Like, you know, you'll go through seasons where it's totally like a mountaintop and you're just thrilled. Like maybe it's the honeymoon phase. You just started out and it's so much fun. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is changing my life. This is the best thing ever. And then you come to a point where you hit a rough spot, or you have just like something happen, or somebody quits on your team, or I'm going to set my phone up here so there's better service, hopefully. So somebody quits on your team, or, you know, for me, like this happened right when I was pushing for Emerald, and I hit Emerald, and then my mom and I were not on good terms, and my mom actually canceled. And so I lost my Emerald, and I had to get someone else to fill her place. And I was like, of course, like my mom of all people would do that. Or like when I was pushing for Diamond, the week after I hit it, my Emerald coach, who I thought was my lifer, like we were vibing, like she was so cool. She quit on me because her husband quit his job, or he lost his job. And so she felt really guilty for having this side coaching gig, because it was mostly like a passion project for her. It wasn't really something she was looking to do full time or long term. And so like you'll just have those moments in your business where like shit just hits the fan and it's so frustrating. But I just wanted to talk about this topic because, like, in my opinion, all of the highs in coaching are so much, like so far greater than all of the lows. And compared to any other job out there, like I think coaching is the best job ever. And I think that like with coaching, those lows are like nothing compared to any other job. So I just kind of wanted to go through like some examples, and like this is even stuff that I tell myself, you know, when I'm in a really bad mindset, or maybe when I'm in a really like tough, terrible season of coaching. Because when I start like, you know, telling myself all of this stuff, it's like truths that I'm just reminding myself. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I come back to like remembering this. So, you know, I just think about the fact that like with coaching, we get, you know, unlimited amount of vacation once you start pursuing coaching. And if you ever make it a full-time gig, like if that's your dream, we don't have to have just like 2 weeks of vacation. So that was a huge draw for me. There's not a cap on our earnings. Like we can earn as much as we decide to earn. And it's also completely based on our decision to work. So like if, you know, I want to work my booty off and get to a really great place in my business, really sustainable place, I get the choice to do that. Whereas in other jobs, like you have to wait for your boss to tell you that, or you have to wait for him to tell you or her to tell you when you get those 2 weeks of vacation, or maybe it's just like 1 week of vacation. So in my opinion, like all in all, I'm like coaching is the best kind of hard to have. And that's another thing I try to ask myself and remember all the time is like, Leanna, you get to choose your version of hard. So if coaching feels hard right now, like, yeah, sure, it might be hard right now, but think about all the other hards that you could be walking through or working through in life. If you had a different job, if I was back at that coffee shop, clocking in, you know, at like 6:30 in the morning and coming home just like completely fried, or having these long night shifts from like 2 p.m. until like 10 o'clock at night, and not getting to be home with Chad during dinner time. And like his hours were different than mine, so we were never seeing each other. Like, in my opinion, again, like I would just so much rather have this be my version of hard. So that's the first question. Like always ask yourself. And the next thing, I mean, I just told you guys, like if you're like me and you're totally down with this version of hard, the next thing I want to walk you through is just kind of like tools and tactics to get our butts out of a rut whenever we hit that really low spot in our business, or we, you know, something really bad happens and we are just down in our emotions and frustrated and like, why is this happening, and like about to quit, you know? And that's the thing about coaching. There's a really low barrier of entry with this business, but the opportunity is so great. And so it's super easy when you go through a rough patch to just be like, well, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, like I'm done. And that's just like not the solution. I don't think ever that's like the best option. If you ever go through a rough spot in your business, like don't do anything in those 24 hours. Like let yourself feel whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through. Just maybe take a break, like turn everything off. Because the real truth is like life isn't perfect. Coaching isn't perfect. Nothing in this world is perfect. So like, don't expect it to be. Don't expect coaching to be this like magic bullet. It's still a job. It's still really hard, but it's something that's really, really, really fulfilling and really satisfying when we can start to build these awesome, incredible businesses. So the first thing that I always do is go back to you, or go back to me. So I always ask myself, like, why did I fall in love with this community? How can I find that love again? And how can I create that love every single day in everything that I'm doing? And maybe you can't do it in everything that you're doing, but maybe you can find that love again in one area. Like for me, initially, the first thing was the challenge group. I fell in love with having this little Facebook group on my phone, no matter where I was going or where I was for the day, completely separate from my life. And it was all these girls across the country that I was connected to, and they were going through all this terrible, stuff in life, or maybe they weren't, like maybe they're having an awesome day, but it was just this place where I feel like I could share my struggles with them and not be judged, because I knew they were going through struggles, and a lot of it was health related struggles. So it was very, on the same page. That was my first, I'm in love with this, I'm in love with this community and these girls. And so whenever I've gone through a hard period in my business, I'm always diving into my challenge groups really, really hardcore. And if that means you spend a little bit more time in that area, even if it's not necessarily an IPA, if that's what you need to do to get your head out of your butt and keep going and really fall back in love with coaching and with the process of this, then that's what you need to do. That is what I had to do. I think it was this past fall, I had set some really huge goal, and then I missed it, and I was really just frustrated with myself. And I realized, wow, I'm never in my challenge groups. I'm never spending time there. And so I just totally dove in that whole month, wholeheartedly into my challenge group. I messaged my challengers. I created a message pod with all my new challengers. I was showing up and being the best challenger I possibly could, commenting on every single person's post every single day. And for me, that brought me so much joy. And so I was like, okay, I need to do this every month, and obviously we're not perfect. We can't do everything all the time, but that's just such a good, reminder that that's what I fell in love with. So why did I stop doing that? That's when something went wrong, is when I stopped doing that thing that I loved. So the second thing is just deciding and creating for yourself a firmly rooted why. Because if you don't have a really, really strong and firm why in what you're doing this business for, the second that things go wrong, or the second a coach quits, or maybe it was your best friend who was a coach and you thought you guys were going to do this business together, and then she decided it wasn't for her, the second that happens, you're going to be out of here. You're just going to decide to quit. And when you have a firmly rooted why that's bigger than just you, it's bigger than satisfying your passions or your excitement with this business, then you're not going to want to quit, because it's relying on something more than you. For me, when I first began, my why was, I want to quit my job. I want to do this full time. I want to be able to have the freedom to create my own schedule every single day. And as you go in this business, your why changes. And I think it's so important to constantly reassess that. So nowadays my why is, Chad tours as a musician and travels all the time. And I just want the funds, financially, to be able to pick up everything and go see him, whenever I need to, or whenever I want to. I want to be able to go fly to wherever they have a show for a weekend and just be able to find an Airbnb or a hotel and hang out with him and be with him. And I also want the freedom to be at home when I'm a mom someday, and stay at home with my kids and be able to keep building a business and pursue something that I'm passionate about, alongside of motherhood, but also not have to be the mom that puts their kids in daycare and is never with them. Because my mom didn't do that. And I absolutely loved my childhood with her. She was with us all the time, and she was an artist. So I really have all these different things a part of my why, where I remember the day that my emerald quit when I was pushing for diamond, and I was in the shower and I was crying, so dramatic. And I just asked myself, you know what, if I had to restart all over from day one, today when this girl quit, I would do it, because my why is so big and so powerful and strong. That vision of my life, that is worth anything. That is worth doing this all over again and adding 2 years, right? So when you have that really strong why, nothing can knock you off your game. You're I'm just going to make it happen. I'm going to find a way. So the third thing is asking yourself, what do you love most about the specific work that we do? So I know the first question is kind of similar, or the first thing I said, going back to you, but this is not like when you first started. This is like, what part of the business do you love most? Because for me, I love connecting with new people. Like, I just love having like a phone call with a new client or a prospective client. I love like just learning about people and getting to know them, like before the sign up, after the sign up. I'm always just like, tell me more about yourself. Like, I want to learn more about you. So whenever I'm struggling, I'm like, okay, I need to go back to really digging into these conversations and figuring out, details about these people. Cause that's another one of those things that is a really big part of our work that we do, but it's something I really love. So maybe for you, it's like PD. Then like, dive wholeheartedly into PD like every single day. That's a huge part of what we do. And obviously like that's a part of the 4 vital behaviors too. So that's like just a non-negotiable, and it's going to help you with your mindset and getting yourself back on track with that, especially if you're going through a really like rough time in your business. And another thing I like to do with this is I incentivize myself. So I will tell myself like, okay, you can't like connect with these people, or you can't do PD, because those are like some of my 2 favorite things I love. So I tell myself, you can't do that until you do this, like this hard work, or you get through the stuff that you don't really want to do, like checking your back office, or, any of the things that you just don't like as much, or that you're like shying away from. And then you can go back to doing like whatever it is you love. So what number is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 4th one is kind of asking yourself like more about yourself. Like, how do I specifically work as a person? For me, I know I'm like competitive with myself. I'm competitive with others, but like not as much as with myself. And then I know I'm also really, really inspired by my environment. Like if I'm in a really messy house, or if it's really, really loud wherever I am, like I cannot get any work done. And then I also know I love fun. Like I love anything that's fun. Like if you tell me something's fun, I'm just like, okay, let's do it. Like I don't care. Or I'm always like trying to make things fun. And so with that, like when you ask yourself how you actually work as a person, you can dive into making the business look like that every single day. And then your days are always enjoyable, right? Because it's like filling up your cup and how you work as a person. So examples for me is like, if my house is a really, really big mess and I don't like, it's just not giving me good vibes, I'll go to a coffee shop and I'll like kind of treat myself and say, you get to go to a coffee shop today. Like this is the best thing ever, or go somewhere that you really, really love. Like sometimes I like to work at the dog park. There's like a nice dog park here. And last summer I brought my laptop there and I would work there every now and then, or work by the pool. It's like these little rewards. You're almost like rewarding yourself. Like I get to go and be in this area or do this because I get to, or whatever, as a coach, and it's going to make everything more enjoyable for me on the daily. Another thing I do is I just make everything a game. Like I got this actually from Keisha Fitzgerald is her name. But I will set a timer on my phone and just ask myself a question of like, how many messages can I get done in this 20 minutes? Like, let's make it a game. Let's get competitive with myself. And I'm going to try to beat however many messages I did yesterday in this amount of time as today. So I'll just, like go for it. And it's so like, I just think it's so much fun. And it makes the work like enjoyable, and it makes it fly by because you're just focused on the game rather than the fact of like, oh, I'm working or whatever, however you're feeling in that moment. Another one, like I'll ask myself, who can I get to say yes today? Or you can even do like a no challenge. Like how many no's can I get today? Like I'm going to shoot for getting 100 no's. Like Bree Headley came up with that idea of like literally like inviting people to get the no, and every no was like a success in your mind. So if you have to do that stuff, like it just makes every day more fun. I already talked about like the going somewhere with good vibes. Another thing is like rewards. I touched on this a little bit before, but like, once I get my 30 invites done, or once I get whatever it is that you're struggling to do done, I'm going to reward myself with iced coffee, or I'm going to reward myself with reading a cookbook, or like whatever you do that you really, really love, like yoga. I'm going to reward myself with like a 10-minute yoga flow or something. It's like, yeah, I would have done that stuff already maybe, But now that it's like an incentive and a reward for doing my work, it just makes it all like way more fun. And I tend to get my work done faster and like with a better mindset when I'm actually doing those things. But all in all, I just want to tell you guys and like remind you again that coaching isn't perfect. Like it won't make our life perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But like I said before, it makes it a heck of a lot better. And it's basically the opportunity to live our life by design. Like we get to create our life as whatever we want it to be with coaching. So in my mind, again, like it's the best option, but you just have to remember with coaching, and this is the hard part of it, that like you are your own boss, you're your own CEO. So you're the one who has to, in these really rough seasons or maybe just lulls in your business, like you're the one who has to find the reason why you're going to keep going. You're the one who has to dig deep and figure out like how you're going to make a way when there's not one, or maybe when it feels like there's not one, because there always is. But the really cool thing about that and the really fun part is like that journey is what strengthens you and makes you a better person, like overall a better human, like better at whatever it is that you do in life, whether you're like a mom, you know, or like a daughter. Like I just feel like coaching all around has like molded me and shaped me and chiseled me into like this better person, because it forces me to ask these questions and be like intuitive and take initiative and get creative with my business and find ways to keep going when I don't want to do something. And it rolls over into the other aspects of our lives. Like it totally rolls over into my health journey, you know, like when I am waking up and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this workout, I like have to dig deep and like go to that next level and be like, Leanna, you know, this is good for you. You know, you're going to feel 10 million times better. So we just have to like take that same kind of mindset and tactic with our business. Or maybe you start with your business and then it rolls over into eating the broccoli or like getting your workout done. Like give yourself a little reward afterwards. For me, when I first started, like Shaco was my reward every day after my workout. So that's kind of carried over with me, like to the business. And again, like I feel like I tell you guys this all the time, but I just want to like make it so firm in your mind that like you guys are all capable of doing this. Like you're all capable of building a 6-figure, 7-figure, like $1 million business. It literally just takes you doing all of this stuff over and over and over again, because life isn't perfect and because coaching isn't perfect. So like as a CEO, as your own boss, like just take all of these steps to heart and really try to implement them when these times come at you. Like today, just for an example, I've had the craziest day today. Like it's just literally been so funny since social media stopped working. And then I took Lola to her, like she had this appointment to get her staples removed, and she got out of her collar and was literally running around our RV park for like 30 minutes. I was late to the appointment, which made me late to like 10 million other things. But in the car, I just kept like asking myself, like, you could literally be so mad right now. Like you could cry, you could have a fit, you could be so upset. But like, I just didn't choose to be, because I was like, I have to host a call tonight. Like I have to show up and like be a light and be positive to other people, because what is it going to help me to like have a fit and be really mad about all this stuff? It's probably going to make me feel really crappy for the rest of the night. And so, and I've been practicing this from the PD book I'm reading, The Law of Attraction, Money and the Law of Attraction. But it's so good. It just teaches you to ask like these questions and say, what do I actually want right now? So that's another like, you know, good thing that you can ask yourself in these dark times, or like whatever it is that you're going through in your business. Like, what is it that I actually want? And then speaking out, like, I want to get to my appointment on time. I want my dog to not run away from me. I want, you know, my business to flourish. I want people to come to me. I want, you know, whatever it is, like speak it out. And that will help your brain, like help you focus on the positive, so you won't feel so icky. And then you'll be more motivated to like get the work done or do whatever you have to do with this like positive mindset. And you're going to enjoy the actual process of it every single day. So highly recommend that book. And then also Keisha Fitzgerald's podcast. I took a lot of like what I said tonight from her podcast. So if you haven't listened to her most recent one, it's basically called like, How is Life Working for Me? She uses like a different term, but it's like, how is life rigged in my favor? That's what it's called. It's so good. but it's like doing that same thing, just asking these really big questions and like totally flipping your mindset so that you're enjoying the process. And the other thing, last thing I want you to think about is like, don't you think your dream life is worth this work? Like, don't you think your dream life is worth trying, you know, reading these books and listening to these podcasts where you're training your brain to be more positive and enjoy the everyday and enjoy the hard times in life? Because again, like, think about it carrying over to anything else that happens in life that's bad. Like, your dream life is so worth all of that, you know, all the mess of trying to figure it out and have coaches cancel on you and have people fail or not, you know, follow through with their Shaco order or whatever it is, like fall off their health journey. It's just so worth it. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I feel like I talked a million miles per hour. You can just post them in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Now I know what Jamie means when she's like, I'm sweating at every team call, because you literally get so sweaty. No questions? Who's rank advancing tomorrow? Yay! Okay, guys.
Hopefully.
Yes. Wait, I have to get a selfie. It probably won't post on Instagram, but we're still gonna do it. Yay! Smile. All right. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Bye. Love you all.